Besides sending the police, you might want to send an ambulance or a hearse.
Hello, Billy Ho here. Week 17 season is almost over. Most everybody's going to have their championship games this week now that we have 18 weeks in the season. Good luck, everybody. I made the toilet bowl with my Chargers defense last night, which the toilet bowl, in my defense, is worth $100. So if I'd have just been another Buster playoff team and got bounced in like the first or second round of the playoffs, I wouldn't have got shit. But now I get to sit on the toilet bowl. See what I did there? All right. Now we're going to talk DraftKings 13 game main Sunday slate. We haven't had 13 games in a while, so it's going to be our toughest test we faced in probably the month of December. So basically, what I wanted to talk about was you have to narrow down the games. And what I'm going to do in this video is narrow it down to 10 games. I'm just knocking 3 off. This is kind of an early look, top stacks, plays, and whatnot videos. So we're going to get into it in just a second. Just a quick announcement. I have a new Google Sites article, weekly articles coming out for NFL finishing the season and PGA for the whole 2023. I've already put the Tournament of Champions article out. It's on Twitter, getting good feedback. Had a couple little glitches with permissions, but that's fixed. So check it out. I really didn't realize. I'm so happy to hear that people still like the written word and they still like to read articles and stuff like that on the internet. So very cool. And I hope it leads to more subscribers to the YouTube channel, because you can always catch the link to that in the article. And you can always catch the similar content in video format. This week, this is the Top Stacks video. Later this week will be the matchups video, which I deep dive into more like wide receiver matchups with cornerbacks, injuries to secondaries that give you an advantage and things of that nature. So let's get started, and we're going to look at the top 10 games just out the gate. All righty then. The first game is going to be actually at the Arizona Cardinals at Atlanta. And this is kind of an interesting game. I guess we'll keep an eye on Colt McCoy and his health. Don't know. But this is the Riddler, man. I mean, we got to start calling this dude the Riddler, because he is an enigma, because we don't really know what he is just yet. He just kind of a game manager, runs around, throws the ball away, might get you 40 yards rushing, might get you 8. Doesn't throw any interceptions so far, but doesn't throw any touchdowns. Now, he's been on the road in hostile environments and poor weather his first 2 weeks. Now he's going to get to be at home. He's going to be against Arizona Cardinals, who, made Tom Brady look bad, but, Tom Brady's old. This dude, I think this is the week he gets his first touchdown pass. He's only 5K, and look at who you compare him with. Drake London is 4,900. That is the steal of the week. 9, 10, 11, 12 targets, 96 yards. He's gonna do this. I think he hits the 100 bonus with 6 to 8 catches, 100 bonus, and at least 1 touchdown. I'll go ahead and put that on the board. You got other guys like D-Hop, Marquise Brown. If McShirley, a.k.a. McSorley, you can't be serious. I am serious, and stop calling me Shirley. McSorley is the quarterback this week. Gross. Atlanta's DST. Either quarterback. I don't care if Colt McCoy's in or not. Atlanta's defense is not a bad pay down option at 2,700. I don't foresee Zacchaeus or anybody like that. But on the Arizona side, the 2 run backs I see the best is James Conner and Greg Dortch, because they got short, intermediate targets. Conner gets all the work, and he gets passing game work, especially dump offs out of the backfield like McSorley gave. And McBride might not be a terrible option. He did get 4 targets, but he's He does very, very limited upside for 3,300. That's just too expensive. I know 3,300 for a good tight end is not bad, but when there's other options, and we'll get to those. So really, that's about all I've got for this game. Basically the single stacking with Ritter and London will allow you to pay up for like guys like Justin Jefferson and Christian McCaffrey. So just keep that in mind. And the next game we're going to go to is going to be this Miami New England game. And like I said, just basic weather. You'll see it in my article. I just pointed out if it's a dome game. If it's an outdoor game, you're basically looking at some form of showers, but the temperatures are going to be warm. And don't foresee any wind problems in any of the games that are outdoors. So just keep that in mind. And obviously, we've got the first 3 games right here are all dome games. So, keep that in mind. But we're going to New England next for Miami, New England. And that game will have some showers likely. But I'll tell you, this huge game could decide the wild card team for both from this division. We already know the Bills are probably going to win the division, but another team from this division will make the playoffs. And you got the Dolphins, the Pats, and the Jets all fighting. The way Joe Burrow carved up this Pats secondary in the first half last week was very encouraging. Tua, the way he carved up the opposing defense in his first half last week was encouraging. But Tua 7K, Hill 89, Waddle 75 is too expensive to double stack. That is just crazy. You are probably counting your money in the first half of that Christmas Day game, the game 1, Green Bay and Miami. But it's 60 minutes, people. We play 4 quarters. He only ended up getting 16 points because he threw 3 picks in the second half. They acted like he was just God in the first half because he was threading the needle a couple of times and making some good throws into some windows. But we showed in the second half when you put a little pressure on him what happens. The thing I will probably do with this game is mini stacks, 2 separate ones, say Hill on one, Waddle on another lineup. You can do like say that Ritter stack I talked about earlier. You could do 2 Ritter stacks with London, and then you can have one lineup have Hill, the other lineup have Waddle, and then you can go back on the other side with a mini stack of Jacoby Myers, 5K, who had a nice game, redemption catch. It was off a deflection to get him to 20, but he still got his 7 targets and his 83 yards. That's solid for 5K. I'll take it. The other guy might be looking to bounce back is Ramondre. Keep an eye on Harris. He was inactive last week with an injury, so keep an eye on his status. Stevenson could very well bounce back against this Miami team. 6 targets out of the backfield. They just, it was Cincinnati. I said it. Cincinnati's a tough defense against the run, and $7,100 Ramondre last week wasn't getting after it for me. So 6,800 now is more reasonable. And he, like I said, you could do a Waddle Stevenson or a Hill Myers, just because you have to have, say, the expensive guy with the cheap guy is kind of the route you would probably need to go if you can't afford it. If you can't afford it, go for it. The rest of the guys, that's the running backs is a little too muddy. Mostert is back to returning kicks now. He gets work, but Jeff Wilson gets the goal line work. So if I was going to play anybody, it's Jeff Wilson. That's just the guy who's got the better upside. Unless you play him with Miami's defense and you try to double dip with a kickoff return, that's a long shot at best. So I wouldn't recommend that. Next game is Chicago and Detroit back in the Dome. This is going to be a fun game. You've got Goff at 5,600, who's still too cheap for a quarterback that throws 35 plus times, who has St. Brown at 7,800, the same price every week. Just play him, plug and play, no matter what. Every Goff stack should have ASB. Might have to get Swifty once again. Swift really let me down with that crap game he had last week, but he played like 27 snaps, which is the most, or 27 or 37. I can't remember now. But, he was just not involved. They didn't give him the ball. They didn't throw. Well, they targeted him 5 times, but they just didn't get the connection there. But he's healthy at home against a Chicago defense that you can run on and you can get swifty with it. Jamal Williams left the game with an ankle injury, so left leg injury. So if he's out, that just makes Swift all that more appealing. Obviously, you can target Chark. 4,300 is cheap. That's your second stack. You can do Goff, St. Brown, and Chark. Then you can run it back with Komet, who's solid, or you play the other side of the stack, Justin Fields. 7,900 is expensive, but with his rushing upside, the 100-yard bonus is on the table, most definitely. And being indoors without bad weather, he's going to have Komet. I think him and Komet, a single stack, is exactly what you want to do. Run ASB on the other side, and you're done. Or, you might be able to play the Lions defense. I wouldn't play the Bears defense. But Claypool is up in the air. And then, the rest of the health of these wide receivers with Pringle and all of them, they may not be necessary if you just want to go Komet. That's what I would recommend. But Pringle might be the guy, or St. Brown clears protocol. I like St. Brown the best. 3,600 is cheap for him, and I think he'll see most targets. And he's got good upside. Whoever the slot receiver is, I'll look that up in the matchup show. I would like for the Bears. So next game up, we are going to go down. We're skipping around a little bit. And I guess this is almost in order of the games that I like as well. And I wanted to get these in before, people don't seem to want to stick around for the whole video, which truly you're missing out because some of this is really, really good information. If you just got the patience, 1.25x on the old YouTube machine there, and you'll get it done even faster. I digress. Minnesota, Green Bay. At Green Bay, it's Lambeau Field. It won't be frigid, but it will be snowy / rainy and in the mid-30s. So expect a kind of a sloppy, typical Lambeau Field for this time of the year, which makes me kind of want to ease off Kirk Cousins as a stack. Plus, being up to 6,400 puts him in almost too expensive zone. Now, Dalvin Cook is an option if you want to go pivot to the run game. He's a solid, but he's very, very inconsistent. I mean, he's going to get you probably double digits, but you're looking for 28 like he did. But he had that one huge pass play, 64-yard touchdown to get him there. I just the rest of his games, he just really hasn't been getting the work. But they may rely on him this week as the weather is a little bit dicey. Obviously, Jefferson, 9,500 priced up. Until he hits 10K, I'd keep playing him. Mostly a one-off or a single stack in this game because I'm not stacking him with Cousins. He's a run back if you want to go A-Rod. He was off his game. He missed I know he missed one touchdown throw for sure. 238 if you add another touchdown. He doesn't run as much as he used to. But he runs he runs more in the away games, obviously. So that's not going to be very dependent upon fact. But he still can throw it 35, 40 times if he has to. And remember, Aaron Jones is nicked up, so Aaron Jones might not play. Then that would make A.J. Dillon somewhat interesting if he gets the pass work. And he can catch passes. So if Aaron Jones somehow misses, A.J. Dillon becomes interesting. And then, you got my boy KJ Osborne, who's almost getting too expensive for his own right. He came back down to earth last week with 3 for 17. So, he's a matchups driven kind of guy. If I see an advantage in the slot, he's the guy I'd play. Thielen is iffy. Hawkinson's always in play. He had the monster week last week, which kept me in the green, which was nice. So he's a target. Big Bob Tonyan's also maybe a target. But this game is probably mini Stacksville for me. I'd rather stick with the dome games. So that said, we'll peel off of that one. And we'll head over to another outdoor game, which will probably be a little rainy, a little chilly. And that's going to be the New Orleans Eagles Jalen Hurts, they didn't get it done last week, so they're still technically not clinched in the East, but they're going to get there just by default. And I think they're still going to get the bye, but they haven't clinched either yet. So Jalen Hurts might push to play this week. That was just a sprained shoulder, so maybe maybe he can get back. But Minshew showed he's quite serviceable, up to 5,500. So he got the price bump as well. If you want to pivot off this game, you can hit Miles Sanders up. You can run on this New Orleans team. Obviously, if Minshew starts, then you got to have interest in the two top dogs, Brown and Devonta here. So Goddard got his first game under his belt. He's going to be more interesting, but he is expensive. There are a lot of 4K tight ends this week that have just the same upside as him and aren't as risky. So keep that in mind. Can't hardly pay up for Eagles D. Saints D is not terrible. They could do some stuff if Minshew's the quarterback. But other than that, keep an eye on Olave. He was out with a hamstring last week, but he might have just been being a big pussy because they were playing in that cold-ass, frigid temperature, windy Cleveland Stadium last week. So maybe he'll be back he'll suddenly feel good and practice in full all week. If you see him practicing full all week, he was probably just, bowing out last week. Landry's still on IR. Love Shaheed. He's up to 4K, but the dude just gets down the field. He gets targets. He's perfect. None of the quarterbacks, as far as Taysom and Dalton. So that's out. But you kind of know where things lie if Hurts plays and what to do here. So you don't have to get crazy with it. But having a piece of this game would be wise, in my opinion. So keep that in mind. Another game. We're going to go back over to the Dome. Raiders. This is a nice spot for one Christian McCaffrey, who's 9K, which is nice. We were paying, he didn't get the volume he got last week, but he still got 17 touches. He got a touchdown. I mean, he just wasn't breakaway. And I said it last week on my video. The Washington defense is pretty solid. They had Chase Young back on the defensive line. They made it tough. 3.1 yards a carry. They made it tough on McCaffrey. Las Vegas is not going to be as tough. He will be back up around 6 for 40 in the air and pushing the 100 bonus. He's going to be in the mid-20s again. At 9K, he probably needs 25, but, he can get there no problem. The dude's got upside from every angle, like I said last week. Rushing, receiving, he even passes the ball sometimes. Brock Purdy, not terrible. You could pair Purdy with McCaffrey. I sound so country when I say that. You pair that Brock Purdy there, man. He gonna get it. But anyway, Ayuk is always low key. He's gonna be the most targeted wide receiver. I mean, 5 for 81 didn't quite get me there last week at 6,300, but same price, same volume, and against a softer secondary, in my opinion. This could be the week he has 2 touchdowns, and he's going to win you some money at, I guarantee you, under 5%. Guarantee it. Put it on the books. Now, let's see who else we got here. We need to get rid of that one. And Devontae Adams down to 8,500. Sweet. Give that to me all day. He's going to get 10 to 12 targets. He's due. I hate to say due, but he's going to get 30 this week or 25. He's going to pay off that salary. I have no problem with that. You could do a mini stack Ayuk. If you want to double stack this game, that's a lot of salary. You're talking Purdy, Ayuk, Kittle, CMC, any of those combos. Kittle, man, back in the mix, 5,900. He's going to be popular at 5,900 after the last 2 weeks he's had. So keep an eye on him. Waller, the baller, is finding his way back in. He's getting 3 to 5 targets a week. The first 2 weeks scored a touchdown. So he's 4,300. Like I said, I would rather play him than Goddard. They're going to get the same volume, and Waller's got more upside. and he's got, he doesn't have AJ Brown and Devontae. He just has Devontae Adams. So anyway, but that's, the other guys down here, Hollins, I think, is a bit riskier now than he ever was. Renfro seems to be getting a hold of that slot role again, where he just dips in, he just runs across the middle and hangs out, and he's going to catch 4 for 40 every week. And if he gets in the box, your gravy train at 4K. So keep an eye on him. That's going to be a real good game, though, I think. So I'm going to jump on to this other. This is probably going to be my number one quarterback in my heart, and probably yours too. Trevor Lawrence at Houston Texans. This game is just going to be too juicy to pass up. Lawrence, 6,200, fair price. I'll take that all day. He's 30. That's the floor, 31. They won 19-3 on that Thursday night game in bad weather. So 31, he's going to be pushing more mid-30s. I think he's 250 and 2 touchdowns. And then if he can just get you 30, 40 yards rushing, maybe he calls his own number. But I don't see much problem him getting in the mid-20s. So I like him at 6,200. And he's got a 36-point ceiling, 30-point ceiling. He's shown it. This week, I think, is good to pair him with Christian Kirk. I feel like Kirk is going to get back in the groove again. Zay Jones is always too cheap, 5K. And look what you got. Brandon Cooks, obvious run back, 4,800. There's your double stack right there in a row for you. Kirk, Jones, and Cooks, and Chris Moore's in there too. Marvin Jones, but these are the main guys. But I mean, you got 11K, 15.8 for 3 receivers. That's cheap. Your entire stack's going to be barely 22. So I'm digging that. That's pretty much the way it goes. You can play the Jags defense. I don't care who's quarterback. They're giving Royce Freeman a good look in Houston, but he doesn't catch any passes. He's out. Burkhead's not getting that many either. And Jacksonville is pretty solid against running backs. Etienne, I think, has been steaming up the last couple of weeks. I think this 14 turns into 24. He's going to catch 5 for 70 and a 100-yard bonus, maybe a touchdown. I feel like he's a mid-20s. He's definitely pairable with Lawrence, because I think he'll catch enough passes to pay off. That's going to be a real good game for me to target. So that one's cool. And we're getting down to the last couple games here. I won't keep you too much longer, but you got to talk Denver, Kansas City. Well, because of the Kansas City offense, obviously. First thing I will tell you, you will see a different Broncos team. They fired the coach. The Broncos team wasn't prepared. They went out. You saw what happened. They got their heads caved in on national television on Christmas Day. Those guys got pride. You will see a different team. But that said, they're not going to fully stop or hope to stop this Kansas City offense. But I'm not paying up for Mahomes at 85. I'm definitely not pairing him with Kelsey at 81. 6 for 113 last week helped me win my season-long league, but it's not going to win you a GPP. You're going to need 2 touchdowns to go with that 6 for 113 for 8,100. I mean, 20 is fine for a tight end, but you can get 20 out of a $3,500 tight end. So you have to have those multiple touchdowns. He has not scored in 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. He'll score this week. So, but he might not get 100. He's probably going to get 5 for 47 and 2 touchdowns, and he'll have the same score. So just keep that in mind. But Dulcich, questionable. The guys that on the other side, I don't know if I play anybody. Like I said in the article, one-offs. I might play Kelsey in the flex as a one-off. Jerry Jeudy does interest me, but he's up to 6,400 now. He was super interesting when he was 5,400 and everybody played him, and he did the hat trick, which, we're coming right back, but I doubt they let Jeudy get to him again. That Kansas City defense looked pretty damn solid at home against Seattle Seahawks. So at home, that defense can be opportunistic and aggressive. So I'm probably largely going to avoid this game if possible. It is outdoors. I don't think the weather, since it is further Midwest than the other East Coast rainy games, the weather will probably be better. So we'll look into that game. I'll put a pin in that one and keep an eye on it for the matchups show coming up. Last couple of games are actually kind of fun. This one's interesting to me. Nobody's going to want to play it. Cleveland at Washington. I think the weather's going to be aight. Like I said, it's still the rain doesn't concern me. I didn't really see any wind in any of the games, so a little bit of rain ain't going to bother me any. Carrying the ball might be a problem with punch out fumbles, and you'll have a few passes, errant passes, skim off hands, but that's only if it's really really raining and really really wet. So, but it's too early to predict weather. Interesting game. Commanders are still fighting for a wild card. Their defense, 3,100, is no joke. Cleveland's defense, 3,400. Both are good this week. I can't hardly go to either quarterback. People seem to like Heineke, and I can't blame them with McLaurin, Dotson, and Samuel. And then Logan Thomas is another key. All those guys are good pass catchers, but they run the ball too much for their own good, because either one of these guys are getting carries out the yin yang, and they're losing 37-20, and he's getting 22 rushing attempts. I mean, come on, guys. And they're having success throwing. My man Dotson is really coming into his own, and he is and he actually has passed up Curtis Samuel in price, but that's not a big deal because Samuel is still a baller too. So Dotson and Samuel are actually my two guys because I feel like they have similar upsides to McLaurin. McLaurin had the touchdown last week, but he obviously 6,100. He was 4 for 77, 17.7 points. Dotson, 19.6. More targets, yards, touchdowns. So I lean these younger guys, cheaper prices. And then on the other side, you got my man DPJ is going to get a lot of targets. Cooper, he is on the road. So if you believe that narrative, I like Jones better for 1,100 cheaper, similar upsides. Like I said, 4,100 Njoku. There's other 4K prospects, but I do like Thomas at 3,100. I think he gets more targets this week. Watson, 5,800. He is down, but he just still cannot. I mean, you got to almost toss this game. He did get 12, so he's running about 20, 30 yards a game. I think sooner or later this week or next week, he's going to have one of those 20-point games, but 5,800 and he scores 22 or something like that, that ain't going to hurt me. I don't see him getting 35, breaking a slate or anything like that. Quarterbacks to me don't matter as much anymore. I just assume pay down because I think 8 out of the, 8 quarterbacks got there last week in a 10-game slate. So, you got plenty to choose from. But that's about it for that game. I like the receivers for Washington. I don't like any of the running backs whatsoever. Washington's defense looks good at home, so that's interesting. The last game we're going to cover is going to be, let's see, the Rams and the Chargers. I might go over real quick, but I don't like that game because you saw what the Chargers did last night. They play down to their competition. The Rams are definitely playing for pride. I don't trust anybody to do any damage in that game, although Eckler looked pretty good last night. He got a lot of volume. But the game I'm talking about is the 10th and final game, the New York Jets at the Seattle Seahawks. And the reason I chose this game is because my dude Mike White has been cleared for takeoff, baby. Zoomer Zoom Jets. Here we go. This is going to be nice. It's going to be good news for Garrett Wilson, who after last week's down week in the weather and shit quarterback got a $500 discount. So he's back down to $5,500. So we got a $6,200 wide receiver back down to $5,500. Thank you very much. Corey Davis is $3,700. He's probably a $4,700. So everybody's $1,000 underpriced. I could say Garrett Wilson's a $6,500. Now, Mike White, 5,400 is fair. We'll take that all day. I can't trust. I mean, Conklin and Uzoma are both options for White. So if you run a stack, it's going to be White and it's going to be probably Wilson. You can go Carter out of the backfield. Zonovan Knight and Carter are both 5,100 against this Seattle defense. They're both in play. I don't think you play them both in the same lineup, but you choose the guy that catches passes and play him with Mike White. If you're not playing Mike White, you choose the guy that gets the rushing volume, Zonovan Knight. So that pretty much simplifies that. And then your run backs, obviously, is going to be DK Metcalf, Kenneth Walker. Lockett might be back, but I'll tell you right now, Pete Carroll is grossly optimistic when it comes to players' health. He's probably saying he might play this week. The dude just had a surgical procedure on his hand. He ain't playing this week. If he does, I'd be surprised. But, you know, catching the ball is pretty important. He's going to have his hand wrapped up in some form or fashion. So that's a no bueno. Marquise Goodwin didn't step in, but he did get hurt in his defense. He hurt his wrist, but he seems fine. I guess he just jammed it or something because he's not even on the injury report. Nobody down low. Fant's all right, but he's touchdown dependent. But that's a good video, good jumping off point. We are going to get into it much deeper in the coming days. The articles always get updated as we get injury news. So just check back, click those links. I appreciate Stewie. Shout out to him on Twitter for pointing out that I didn't have the permissions set properly. They're set now. You can click right on those links and go right to these articles. They're a pretty good read. So I appreciate you watching. And until the next video, thanks.